rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. The time is 5:38 a.m. You're listening to Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. And today is Thursday, the 4th of February, 2021. And yes, 5:38 a.m. is excessively early, but we're early birds like that, so we're going to get it done, get this news done for y'all, and get ready for today's episode. It's a good one, and you will like it. All right. All 4 Aurora counties are once again open in Phase 4, Kane, DuPage, Will, and Kendall. The Illinois Department of Public Health today announced Region 8, including DuPage and Kane counties, is moving to Phase 4 of the Restore Illinois Plan, effective yesterday. So all 4 Aurora counties, in Will County in Region 7 and Kendall County in Region 2, are in Phase 4. So restaurants and bars, indoor dining and drinking now permitted for parties of up to 10 people. Seated areas should be arranged so that tables allow for 6 feet between parties, and permeable barriers may be installed between booths which are less than 6 feet apart. Meetings and social events limit to the lesser of 50 people or 50% of room capacity. Multiple groups may meet in the same facility if they are socially distanced and in separate rooms. Retail and service counter facilities can continue capacity, of no more than 50% occupancy. Continue capacity limit of no more than 50% occupancy for personal care and indoor and outdoor recreation. The reopening select indoor recreation facilities such as bowling alleys, skating rinks, indoor playgrounds, and trampoline parks should remain closed. And indoor recreation to operate at lesser of 50 customers or 50% of facility capacity. Museums, the capacity limit of no more than 25% occupancy. Guided tours should be limited to 50 or fewer people per group. The metrics to move from Tier 1 to Phase 4 test positivity rate lesser than 6.5% for 3 consecutive days. And staffed ICU bed availability, see, that's how early it is, lesser than 20% for 3 consecutive days. And no sustained increase in COVID patients in hospitals for a 7-day average for 7 of 10 days. So, yep, that's from the Illinois Department of Public Health, and this will be posted on our Facebook page and our Instagram and our Twitter today. You guys may have noticed yesterday's interview was great. We had Jean Lynn coaching on, and it was really good. She's got a very great thing that she does on Monday mornings. It's a little motivational talk that she does on her Facebook page. So check that out. It's Jean Lynn Coaching. She was really cool to get to know, and she's a great person. All right, so moving right along. I want to tell you guys some more good news here in our community. There's a community giveaway on this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 309 5th Street in Aurora, and this is brought to us by Not Forgotten Ministries. Desk chairs, pictures, double sink shelves, curtain rods, lawn chairs, clock mirrors, all kinds of stuff. Everyone's welcome to shop. You must call to schedule an appointment ahead of time. Very cool. So we're going to post this as well so you guys can see it. And Not Forgotten Ministries is taking over the church next door to the Peace House right there on 5th Street. Shout out to the Peace House. Shout out to Cindy Gavin, Reverend Cindy Gavin and her whole family, friends of the show. All right. Moving right along, Echo Development Center presents Soul Food Thursday. So hot lunch is going to be served February 11th from noon to 2 p.m. Baked chicken, greens, macaroni and cheese, corn, muffins, and dessert. And this is in honor of Black History Month. Each registered client will also receive a book or poem with lunch. So for more information, you could register with echoforchange1@gmail.com. But I'm going to post this as well. ECHO, the number 4, change, number 1 @gmail.com. Okay, very cool stuff. So tomorrow morning we're going to have the live news again. As you guys know, live news on our Facebook page Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Yesterday we had Nelson Sands of Prairie Grass Selections on with us. It was really cool, and we talked about a lot, put a lot of good information out there for the people of the city. So check that out and make sure that you guys tune in tomorrow morning as we go live again as well. And there's an Aurora Noon Lions Club fundraiser Saturday, February 13th from 4 to 6 p.m. at Luigi's Pizza, 732 Prairie Street in Aurora. The cost is $10. You get a chicken dinner or spaghetti and meatballs dinner. Very, very, very cool. All proceeds will go to support the Aurora Food Pantry and Marie Wilkinson's drive-through method, or you are welcome to come in. And this will be posted today as well. All right, and that is the news. All right, so good afternoon. It's just now afternoon. So we are joined by Pastor Jon Bell today on Good Morning Aurora. Thank you for your time, sir.
Well, thank you for the invitation. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So for our listeners who are unfamiliar with you, where are you from?
So I grew up in Downers Grove.
Okay.
And lived in Downers Grove all the way through high school. Went to Downers Grove South.
Okay.
And then moved off to college and graduate school, and made my way back here to Northern Illinois.
Okay. Now, where'd you go to college and grad school at?
Went to Illinois Wesleyan down in Bloomington, Illinois.
Okay.
And then you said, called me pastor, reverend. I'm a pastor, so I had to do 3 years of a master's degree.
Okay.
And I did that at Duke University in Durham, North Carolina.
All right. A university with a great history, storied American history,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Yeah, right.
So Downers Grove to Aurora, are there any similarities in the story of Downers Grove and Aurora?
Similarities. Well, Downers Grove, when I was growing up there, the downtown was pretty vibrant. And I lived within biking distance of the downtown area. So I spent a lot of time down there with my friends, biking around, walking around. And I think, Aurora is trying to recapture that downtown feel. And so I see some similarities, that way. Downers Grove was really intentional about parks and having spaces,
right,
and open spaces, and the city's been, I think, really intentional about that. I saw that last night, committee of the whole meeting, they were talking about new development out of Wolf's Crossing, and that's going to include now some parks and open areas and a bike path. So
okay,
I think that's pretty cool.
That is.
Yeah.
Now, is Downers Grove where Cantigny is located, or Cantigny?
I think that's in Wheaton.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's Wheaton.
Yeah, the military park?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Wheaton.
Okay. How far is that from Downers Grove? I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, Downers Grove is just south of the interstate.
Okay.
Wheaton's north.
Okay.
So Downers Grove's right there where 355 and 88 come together.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what's a hallmark of Downers Grove.
Yeah, right?
I mean, there's lots of cool things there. Yeah. It was a fun place to grow up. I mean, I enjoyed my childhood there growing up.
Good. Yeah. Growing up, what impact did your mom have on your life?
Oh gosh, my mom had a huge impact on my life. My dad did too. My mom started out in real estate as a career when we moved to Downers Grove. After she had 2 kids, me and my older brother, and she began working as a realtor for Richport Realtors, which is no longer around. But she eventually became a manager for them in I think it was in the late 70s. I think she was the first female manager for Richport.
Wow.
And then she had a very successful real estate career. She was president of the DuPage Association of Realtors. She was Realtor of the Year for DuPage. She was on the commission for real estate and banking for the state. She was a lobbyist that way in DC. And then she opened up her own real estate company for about 10 years. and eventually sold it to Prudential. So, you know, my mom is sort of like a great example of being an entrepreneur, of success. She's taught me a lot about leadership. I've had several conversations with her about how to handle certain people or situations.
Good coming from mom too.
Yeah, right? Coming from mom. And, you know, I have to say, growing up, like, women in leadership and in positions of decision making was like the norm for me with her. So to me, it's just what I expect to see.
Right.
And it's what I anticipate. And when I don't see it, it's very concerning to me. She's just, you know, been very much of a trailblazer that way.
Right.
And you know, Dad too. My dad is a huge influence in my life too. He's retired now. He was an attorney.
Okay.
And had his own law practice for a number of years. Did a lot of family law, and was on the disciplinary commission for about 8 years for attorneys. It's the ARDC, I think it's called, but they make recommendations to the Supreme Court about disciplinary actions for lawyers.
Wow.
So, you know, my dad was a good student of the law. He was a great attorney. At one time, considered being a judge. That didn't really work out, but you know, my dad taught me a lot about ethics, morals. He also taught me to always read whatever you're going to sign. As an attorney, he was like, never sign something without reading it.
Right.
So, you know, I think that's important. I've always been very intentional about making sure I understand what I'm agreeing to, or you know, what I'm working on. I think that carries over well too into, you know, becoming an alderman. I think the work that I would do there, you know, very much would be intentional about the details, about understanding what's, you know, being asked, what's going to be done.
Right.
So that's all. It drives my kids nuts that I read everything that I sign.
Of course, right.
I don't read all of the iTunes stuff, right?
Dad, sign this permission slip. Where y'all going? At what time? How many cookies? Dad, you're nitpicking.
Right, exactly.
So, real estate in the household. Mom is doing real estate.
Yeah.
Dad's an attorney. Certainly, it sounds like the rule of law overall, or, you know, public service, was instilled upon you from a young, early age. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they were very much interested in politics and participated in them when I was growing up. I remember my mom taking me to a march for the teachers who were asking for a pay increase when I was in elementary school.
Wait a minute, you mean that didn't just start last year on Facebook?
That was back in the 70s. Yeah, but the rule of law, I mean, we are governed by laws. It's important to understand what they are and to know what they mean and how to interpret them, what you can do within the context of the law and what you absolutely cannot do.
Right.
So that was really important in shaping me growing up. And it actually went back further. My mom's dad was a sheriff in Mercer County, which is out west towards the Quad Cities. Okay. And you know, so he became one of the first probation officers for the state. In fact, there's an award named after him that I recently sort of learned more about for the State Probation Court Services Association. But yeah, he, you know, I really have a sense of like civic duty, responsibility, of being a good citizen, and what that looks like.
Right.
It really was shaped by them for sure.
So after high school, that's when you leave to go to college.
Yes.
Okay. What was that experience like, leaving Downers Grove home and then going elsewhere? Yeah.
Well, I was, you know, fortunate in some ways that I knew people who, you know, going to Illinois Wesleyan.
Okay.
So I had good friends that were going there too, or were there, so that helped out too. But, you know, I was excited about, I was nervous about college, but I was also very excited about it. I was looking forward to being on my own. And I didn't quite know, kind of had a sense of what I wanted to do for a career, but wasn't quite sure.
What were you thinking? What were the rumblings inside of?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about doing something, you know, church related. I mean, the church was a big part of my life growing up.
Right.
So I wanted to do something related, I think, that way. But wasn't sure what I wanted to do in terms of college, and I kicked around other things. I thought about being a teacher for a little bit. Thought about going into music. I had an older brother who's had a career in music, but I actually got into a history class, and it was a class on the Civil Rights Movement, and that was my sophomore year. And that class and that teacher just sort of made the Civil Rights Movement come alive for me. I realized how important it was, and I just loved it. I mean, I just loved it. And so I became a history major after taking that class.
What year is this?
Oh gosh, this is 88, 89.
What was so at this point in time, that's how you know it's a good interview. It's never loud. It's only loud on the rolling going. Everybody was good. This is 1988, 1989, and we are learning about or reading about civil rights at that time. You are. Looking at 88, 89 then, and 88, or excuse me, in 2020, 2021 now, what parallels has the thought process of society matured from then till now, if everybody was reading a collective history, or has it regressed, or has it stayed the same?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. I mean, in some ways there's been some progress, but there's still so much work that needs to be done.
Sure.
I mean, this summer, I don't know what made me decide to do this, but I went back through all of my yearbooks, and I looked at the faculty who were teaching both in high school and in college, and at any one time, I only had one African American teacher that was on staff in the high school or in college. And you know, this summer I was like, I just like blew my mind that no wonder, you know, that I hadn't thought much about the Civil Rights Movement or about race or racism. I mean, it wasn't part of my life, and I didn't have to really confront it, right? And so
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think in some ways, in terms of education, we've made some progress that way, but there's still so much more that needs to be done, especially in terms of hiring people of color. But, you know, we didn't talk about it, we didn't deal with it, when I was growing up. I mean, it wasn't until I really got out of college that I really started to have to address, you know, racism, my past or my sort of tendencies to be racist, and my own racism. And that happened after college, those are pivotal things for me too. But yeah, I mean, now it's different in the sense that, you know, I think we're confronting it in ways that are maybe making some strides forward.
Right.
But I mean, there's still so much work to do. Still so much work to do.
Yeah, there is. Now, the role of faith in your life, as you mentioned, you have been a person of faith since being a child, since being young, correct? Yeah. Now, what was the household like, and how would you approach everyday life? You know, did you ever have, not doubts in your own faith, but did you ever see any contrasts in the world and what the lessons are at home?
Yeah. Well, you know, I just want to say, you know, that, you know, I'm running as a citizen for sure. You know,
certainly, yes.
Not running as a
pastor. Right.
Yeah, I'm running as a citizen. And I would say, you know, I had such a good experience. The people that were informative in my life in that context really built community well, and knew the importance of building good relationships, and how important those are in our lives. And I remember, like in high school, looking at some of my other friends and I think, gosh, where is there like community? Like, you know, I was like, this community is so important to me. So I think in some ways, in a lot of ways actually, I have spent my life trying to help build community, but not just in the context of church, but in every aspect of my life and everywhere that I'm involved. people being able to come together and to work on solving problems, helping one another, supporting one another has been it's just been a huge piece for me. And I think that's an aspect of running for alderman that I think will be, carry forward into the work that I do, is how do we continue to build, good, healthy, strong, vibrant communities here in Aurora.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been here in Aurora?
I moved here in 2012.
Okay. What are some of the biggest changes you've seen since being here?
Well, for sure the downtown, the growth in the downtown area, the businesses that have come downtown. The first Fridays, it's a fun development.
Yes, yeah.
The River's Edge, am I going to say that right? River's Edge Park?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, River Edge Park. Moving the concerts from downtown to there. I mean, that was fun. They were fun downtown, but, it's fun to go down there and watch a concert. Right. So all of that kind of economic development has been cool to watch. I think Aurora represents for me in a lot of ways the best kind of community through its diversity, culture. It's alive that way, and it's something I've always wanted to be a part of, and so I've really enjoyed living here.
Right.
I can tell you before moving to Aurora, man, I used to eat in like all these different chain restaurants. And when I moved here, I vowed I was never, nothing against chain restaurants and the people who work there, but, there's so much good food, and culture here in the city, and it doesn't get old,
Exactly, yeah.
It's wonderful.
And the local, the mom and pop, as we know, they really have a benefit to the dollar being spent, being patronized in their place. The chain, shouts out to the chain and all those who work there, but Darden Restaurants that owns Olive Garden is not going to be hurt by a couple of patrons not going in there.
Right.
Whereas we see with the pandemic down here, it can mean the difference between having a business and not having one.
And more dollars that are spent in local businesses stay in the community as opposed to going out, which is really important.
So now let's talk aldermanship. All right, you're running for 4th Ward Alderman.
That's right.
Okay. What is the 4th Ward? What are its boundaries?
Yeah, so Randall Road to the west, Illinois to the north. On the east, it's a little tricky because it comes right down along river. I was going to point, but nobody else can see. And so it comes sort of to the east out to like 4th Street on the east side.
Okay.
And then south is sort of the south border of the city.
Okay. All right.
Like Jericho Road and down there.
So what are the challenges in the 4th Ward?
Yeah, well, one of the challenges in the 4th Ward, it's a very engaged ward. It's an active ward. There's a lot of diversity in the ward. And I would say one of the challenges is that not everybody in the ward feels like they're being heard, that their needs are being addressed, that they're being listened to. And I hear that like over and over again, especially now canvassing. I've heard that quite a bit from people who see the discrepancies that go on between, who sort of gets their projects taken care of, or who gets access to city help and who doesn't.
Right. Are you confident that you'll be able to work effectively with the other members of the city council?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've built my life around being able to partner and work with people and to collaborate and cooperate on different things. We're living in such a polarized time, and it seems so difficult for people to sit down and to solve problems, but that's sort of a hallmark for me, is wanting and desire and the interest to really sit down with people, to know people, to understand them,
Right.
But to know what their concerns are, and then to keep working on solutions.
What's the biggest impact COVID has had on your life?
I mean, the biggest impact I think it's had, I mean, for so many people, is just the more of the isolation.
Right.
I think I love being out. I mean, I love the city, so I love being out in the city. I love being out and about. I love engaging people and talking to people and having conversations like this. And not to be able to do that's been challenging. The hardest part for me is watching friends and family members who either end up in the hospital or who end up dying, and to not be able to watch that people can't be together in those situations. Right. I mean, that's been devastating to watch, and heartbreaking, to see people struggle through that. And I'm someone who's wants to be there with people who are going through difficult times, and to sit with them, and to not be able to do that's been hard too.
Is this your first time running for any elected position?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the first time I thought about it, but it's the first time I'm actually running.
What's it like? Was it difficult?
The decision or the running?
The running.
No, actually, my wife Allison said to me, she said, you come home from walking the ward all charged up, like excited. And I do. I mean, I really enjoy talking with people and listening to what concerns they have and what they're interested in. Mm-hmm. And because I know that there are things we can do. If you're motivated and curious about people's situations and what's going on, there's a lot we can do. And so I'm excited about that. And I love the opportunity to represent the people of the Fourth Ward and to work with them.
What does America mean to you?
Well, it's a complicated question because it depends on when we start.
Sure.
If we start in 1776, then America is sort of shaped and formed by the Declaration of Independence.
Right.
It's shaped by the First Amendment to the Constitution, which is this idea that freedom or democracy is the ability of people to have freedom of thought. This isn't my idea, but I like this, that you have freedom of thought. Mm-hmm. You have freedom of publishing, of broadcasting, and then through that freedom of gathering with people to meet, to talk about those ideas, those beliefs, and then to redress grievances or problems based on that with your government, right? Like that's the heart of democracy. So it's a wonderful process for any individual to be able to say, hey, this is wrong. I think this needs to change. Right. Let's get people together. Let's talk about it. Right. And then let's bring it before our government and make changes. I mean, that's a democracy. It's powerful. But if you go back before then, like to 1619,
right,
America means something different, which is, King talked about a blank check or an empty check, that America has not lived up to the ideals of the Declaration, which is that all people are created equal.
Right.
And that the history, the African American experience, as I understand it in this country, has been to push us to live up to our values and ideals, which we haven't done yet, right?
Right.
I mean, but if you go back before then, you're talking about people who are native to the land. I mean, that's another layer to it too.
Definitely.
That's people who have had, where whole communities have been wiped out, massacred, mm-hmm.
At
the expense of all this. And so, it's a complicated question, and these are all different understandings of America that are all true. And then the question is, like, what do we do? What do we do with that? Do we continue to ignore it?
Right.
Do we continue to not care? Or do we finally say, hey, we need to come together and figure out how we want to move forward together, given this history that has been so complicated?
I think that in the last 50 years, I think that the lack, especially at the family level, especially at the family unit level, I think that the lack of engagement, talking about, or even attempting to relate to the struggle of other people and other towns and other family members, I think that the lack of caring about what's going on there, because it's not here, has been more detrimental than some of the issues that have happened. So, like, for example, hey, such and, there's brutality happened in Cicero. Oh, well, this is Clarendon Hills.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So,
Right.
What are you worried about?
Right.
It's not happening here.
Right.
So why should we care? I do believe that that's been more detrimental than some of the issues that have caused problems. Not to say that, like, the Rodney King incident, for example, was not egregious. It was.
Right.
But it's the unwillingness for people to engage around the dinner table and solve the collective human issue.
Right.
That's bad.
Right.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, these problems that we continue to identify and struggle with are not unique to specific communities. I mean, I think some communities accentuate the problem, or it can be worse in some communities, but it is part of the human condition.
Right.
And we should be talking about it around dinner tables and addressing it and figuring out what to do about it so that it doesn't become a reality, or it doesn't, like, that something terrible doesn't happen here. And there is really an unwillingness to acknowledge that. That it's almost like a bubble mentality, that not here, like it's not going to happen here, or that we don't even have some kind of responsibility towards it.
Yeah. Right.
Out in the world.
And, I think of my experience when I was fortunate enough to travel, which I credit to the military, and I met people who were from a Downers Grove type area where they just did not grow up with many African Americans in Kentucky or whatever, and when they learn that just some everyday basic phrases or euphemisms, songs, popular sayings are rooted in discrimination, then it's a complete eye-opening.
Yes.
And I do think that's sad, because those are the kind of things that, could have been dealt with at the kindergarten level.
Right.
So and here we are 20 whatever,
Yeah.
and it's like it's an issue that's dividing us when it should be a no-brainer for coming together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's 100% right. And, the research suggests that even around this issue of immigration, that communities that are more diverse, the white counterparts for those communities are less racist.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't get rid of racism, it's not a panacea, but that there is much more of a sense of diversity, celebration of diversity and inclusion in those communities.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you some Aurora questions that may require some specificity. Messing it. I'll just stop.
I'm glad it's you and not me.
So I know that you like to eat and like to support the downtown.
Sure.
Any favorite restaurants or places to go?
Gosh, there's so many. Like, I don't know if I can single out, a particular place. I had my first date with my wife Allison at the Roundhouse. So
Okay.
That place holds a special place in my heart.
Right.
Them being closed during the pandemic, it's been hard. I hope that it's a good decision on their part,
Right.
and that they can come back strong. But yeah, I mean, I miss that. But gosh, there's so many good restaurants, around. I don't know if I have a favorite place.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna nail you down.
I'm a little nervous about going too far down that road.
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna get home and I'll be like, oh, I forgot this place.
Yeah. Now, music. What kind of music do you listen to?
You know, I'm pretty eclectic. Listen to a lot of genres of music, and I sort of rotate through them. You know, as I listen to one, maybe sort of need to listen to something different. But yeah, I mean, you know, I grew up playing piano and drums, percussion.
Okay.
So I mean, I was sort of classically trained that way, and then also in jazz.
I could tell. I knew it. I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, I knew it. I could tell. You got some jazz instrumentalism. Yeah.
I played in college. I got to actually go back a couple years ago. The music director at Illinois Wesleyan, gosh, his name is just skipped me. Called him Doc. Anyway, Doc Streeter, he retired, so they invited us to come back and play.
Okay.
So that was fun. I got to play. I got to see a lot.
Nice.
Of friends. Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah, I love jazz. It's been a big part of my life. But yeah, I mean, but I listen to bluegrass.
Okay.
A little bit of country. Definitely, you know, grew up on a lot of rock and roll. Yeah. A little bit of R&B, a little bit of hip hop, but yeah, I listen to just a pretty big mix.
A rocker, huh?
Yeah.
A rock and roll.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. What kind of rock and roll are we talking about here?
Yeah, sure. You know, for sure the 70s and 80s were big time music for me. I think it feels like the 90s. I think just being in school, starting a family, I feel like I was sort of out of touch with a lot of music from the 90s.
Right.
Not all of it, but some of it. So yeah, but I listen to classic rock, but I listen to, you know, modern contemporary rock and pop music. Yeah.
Okay.
I like whatever gets your foot tapping, man. You know, whatever gets your body moving and your soul grooving.
Yeah.
You know, whatever moves you.
I'm an AC/DC
guy.
Love some AC/DC. You know, you have some Led Zeppelin in there. Yeah, all of it, man. Yeah. Put that in there. Put that in the box too.
Yeah.
So what's next for Jon Bell? What's next? What's 2021 look like for Mr. Bell?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I'm hoping that includes being the alderman for the 4th Ward. So that's the biggest piece of it, and I anticipate spending, you know, all of my time, you know, working on that and representing the people well. And I've already let people know that, you know, I have lots of different areas in the community I'm involved and engaged with, that I'm not going to have time to do that. This is going to be the most important thing for me.
Right.
So I'm going to spend as many hours as I can to do this work. It's important work, and you know, I'm committed to it.
When's the election?
April 6th.
April 6th. Okay.
That's right.
So we got some time. Got a lot of doors tonight. Got a lot of people to meet. Okay. How can folks? Are volunteers invited for your campaign, or what's that look like?
Okay. Yeah. Go to peopleforjonbell.com.
Okay.
There's a volunteer tab. You can sign up to do phone banking. I'm inviting people to walk with me to share their issues for the ward and concerns, and to canvass with me and go door to door. We're doing a little bit of that. Obviously, you know, wearing masks and socially distancing.
Right.
But if people want to walk with me, I'd love to have people walk with me to do that. We're going to do phone bankings every week, making phone calls. People want to do that, they can do that. If anybody wants a yard sign, happy to provide a yard sign.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Nice.
And of course, they can donate too.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So now you're on Facebook.
Yep.
And got the website.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, we just started something new today, actually, Wednesday. So on Tuesdays, I'm putting out a little bit of a blurb about what's coming up on city council meetings.
Okay.
And then on Wednesdays, I'm going to give a video debrief of what took place.
Very cool.
So about 3 minutes, just sort of explains the highlights of things that went on to kind of keep people informed.
You know what? And I have to say, from a person who can understand legalese, to make the message, because I do feel that a lot of times one of the reasons why people are uninformed is because they can't properly digest the information.
Yeah.
They want to know too how they can apply for the what the stable fund or whatever the case may be. But
Right.
how on earth is Mrs. Whoever on Grove Street going to adequately go through that, and how many so that's really cool.
Yeah, I think that's important to be able to explain to people what actually is going on in a way in which they can understand.
Right.
And I also think too, that sort of reminds me, I think we also have to do a good job of, if we find places where the information is not getting communicated well, or people don't quite understand how to do something or what they need to do, that we need to then, step back and engage the community around how to do that better, which means talking to the people who are struggling and finding out what the struggles are and then correcting those and making it more accessible to people. I mean, I'm a big fan of making sure the government works for people, that people don't have to jump through a ton of hoops to find out what they need to do, and that, obviously, government sometimes is complicated because of the different layers and the different areas of government, but I think we need to continue to strive to make sure that things are accessible. So this new SURF fund that's coming out, it's Corona Emergency Fund, I forget what all the
CERF, that's
Relief
right.
Fund.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we read about it this morning. Yep.
Yeah, we need to make sure that that's easily accessible for small businesses, right? For everybody in the community, that they can have access to it and know what they need to do and how to fill out the form.
So before we go, I gotta say, shout out to the Stealth Art shirt and all that. Came in here rocking it. I love that.
I appreciate Todd. I mean, he did an amazing job trying to get the vote out, people registered.
Yeah, shout out to Tyler. Yep.
Absolutely, yeah.
Very cool. Now, one more thing. What time will the Wednesday debrief be at? After the city council, like 6 or something?
City council will be on Tuesday night, so it'll be Wednesday the next day. So, noon, 1 o'clock, somewhere around there in the afternoon, it'll come out. I'll film it probably Wednesday mornings and make it available in the afternoon.
All right, y'all heard it right here.
Yep.
So tune into that.
And hope to continue that even after the election.
Right. The show ends on a positive note. What is your message to the not only the people of the 4th Ward, but to Aurorans today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful for the future. I'm hopeful for the city, and I know that we have everything that we need to be successful right here in the community. And so my message is that I want to bring people together so that we can be a strong community, be a healthy community, and that everybody has an opportunity to do well. And we can do that. We have everything we need to do that. It's just a matter of coming together and working together. And as an alderman, that's what I'm going to work towards.
Wonderful. Yeah, we're a strong city. We are a strong city. We've got a lot of strong things and great talent.
Yeah.
Yep. Just got to keep working at it.
Absolutely.
Well, we wish you the very best of luck on April 6th.
Thank you
very best of luck.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And on behalf of our listeners, we want to say thank you to Mr. Jon Bell for coming on to talk to us today. All of you guys out there, have a blessed, safe, positive day. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow morning for another great show. Peace.